What's that they always say? That there's always a silver lining? Like everybody else, I was put under house arrest during the pandemic. And after 3 or 4 days, I was already starting to go up the wall. I live alone in a small 1-bedroom apartment, and I have no friends. That's just how it is. And soon I was dying of boredom. A guy can only surf so much porn and drink so many tall boys of strong beer before that too was boring. Interesting that the liquor stores were deemed essential services, while the office where I worked was shuttered and dark. So that's when I started leaving the apartment at night. Not to walk around, although I probably could have used the exercise. Just to drive. Driving was amazing. The pandemic made people stay home, so the roads, all of them, even the expressways and major thoroughfares, were empty of traffic, making it a real pleasure to just drive. And so I drove around, listening to music and talk radio, and cruised through the silent midnight world revealed by my headlights. I saw few other cars, and even fewer people. But occasionally I would catch sight of a girl or woman walking alone, walking totally alone, with no one else around, and my mind would start thinking. What if I tried not to think about it, to stop thinking about it. I'd drink myself into a stupor, but when I came to, the thoughts were still there, about how easy it would be to snatch one of these women off the streets. And then, who would know? Who would know? But maybe the cops would know. Like I said, there weren't a lot of cars around, but there were cop cars, and what if they noticed me? Maybe they were keeping track of everybody's plates. One night, I just couldn't sleep. So after tossing and turning for hours, I finally got up out of bed, grabbed my keys, and was gone. 6 a.m. The sun was getting ready to come up on our wintry landscape. And there were people around. I had no idea there were people that would get up so early by choice. There were a couple of people out walking dogs, mainly older people, and a jogger. A female jogger. I only caught a glimpse of her out of the corner of my eye, a blonde in a dark tracksuit, running along the side of a long, lonely road. I only had a quick glance, so I did a wide swing round through the side streets and doubled back so I could come up behind her. The tracksuit was black, with silver stripes running down the arms and down the legs. But I was captivated, hypnotized by the back and forth movement of her blonde ponytail and by the twitching of her tight, muscular behind. Her twitching, switching behind, her blonde ponytail swinging back and forth. There was no one else around. We were alone. There was nothing, and no one to stop me. I was at the liquor store as soon as it was open, and then went home and drank myself into unconsciousness. I woke up feeling like deep-fried shit, but the thought was still there. I could grab her, have her, and no one could stop me. And I would make sure she never told anyone. I was back in the car at 6 next morning and drove. I turned onto the long, straight, lonely road where I had seen her the other day. And believe it or not, I was actually praying she wouldn't be there, so I couldn't do what I was going to do. She was there. I drove up the street very slowly, in part so she wouldn't hear or take any notice of me, and maybe partly to stop what I knew was going to happen. But no matter how slowly I went, I was soon drawing up beside her. And that's when she finally turned and looked at me. Blue eyes, beautiful wide blue eyes. And she knew and turned and began sprinting towards a nearby park. I was out of the car and after her, and I was committed now. No turning back. I couldn't turn back, and I couldn't let her get away, and I'm not in very good shape, but I was running furiously, and I was gaining on her, and all the time my effort was fueled by rage at all the women who sneered at me and said no to me, who laughed and disrespected me, rage to get my own back at them for causing my nervous tension through sex, corrosive, searing rage, the rage to possess and ravage and destroy. I was almost upon her, but then she stopped, just a few feet away from me, stopped dead, and then turned around. She was beautiful, a beautiful, beautiful girl, and she smiled at me with her full red lips, her large, lustrous blue eyes, and she opened her mouth as if ready for a kiss. And she opened it, and she opened it, and she opened it, wider and wider and wider, till her face seemed to disappear, and her mouth became a gaping orifice, lined with rows of sharp, jagged teeth, and she leaned forward and pulled me towards her. She was so strong. She pulled me towards her and leaned forward and tore off my nose. Her arms wrapped around me and held me, arms incredibly strong, and I realized they had morphed into tentacles. And as I fell down the elevator shaft from consciousness into darkness, I realized she was actually eating my face. Eating my face. And my last thought was, the experts and the authorities were right. You should just stay home.